We have some breaking news out of Kabul overnight. Afghanistan has signed a bilateral security treaty with NATO. It's been a long time coming, and it paves the way for 12,000 foreign troops to stay, and that includes 9,800 U.S. troops. With more on this, we're joined now by Margherita Stancati. She comes to us live from Kabul. Thank you very much for being with us, Margherita. I know it's quite late there. Why was this such a long time in coming? What changed?
Well, what changed is that Afghanistan now has a new president. Yesterday, Ashraf Ghani was officially sworn in as Afghanistan's new president. And he had long made clear that the first thing he would do, if elected, was to sign a bilateral security agreement with the US and a similar pact with NATO. So the pacts are actually two, and they pave the way for two missions. One will focus on training Afghan forces, and the other on counterterrorism. And the reason we had to wait so long is because Mr. Ghani's predecessor, Hamid Karzai, had refused to sign both agreements.
And this is basically the first thing he's done. Ashraf Ghani, he's come in, he's done this, and this paves the way for the troops to stay. But paves the way doesn't mean it's a done deal. What has to happen for it actually to take effect?
Well, what happens is that they've agreed on the framework that would allow U.S. and allied troops to stay. The framework's actually two different documents. One was signed by the U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan, James Cunningham, and the other with the NATO senior representative here. And the two missions are very different. One will be on counterterrorism, the BSA, and the NATO agreement will focus on training. Now, although the frameworks are agreed upon, the exact number of troops hasn't yet been decided. Barack Obama, a while ago, committed 9,800 U.S. troops to both missions, although it's unclear how many troops would go to which missions. And the NATO allies, in principle, have pledged a few hundred troops each to the NATO component of the two pacts, but there's no final numbers on that yet. Although we estimate it will be overall around 12,000 troops.
Now, one of the things we know about a lot of NATO forces, they're quite happy to get their troops out of Afghanistan in a combat role, and we also know that the training of Afghani troops has been spotty, shall we say, with some Afghani troops turning around and attacking NATO troops. Will things be different this time?
Well, right now, the Afghan troops are already doing most of the fighting. NATO and U.S. forces are already focusing overwhelmingly on training the Afghan troops, although there still are some special forces units in the country. So what will change is that there will be even fewer troops in a combat role. There'll be just a few special forces, and is very specific and limited to counterterrorism operations. So there will be less contact in the battlefield between Afghan forces and their foreign counterparts, although they will carry on working very closely as far as training is concerned.
Thank you very much, Margherita Stancati.